Welcome to another episode of Sundowns TV. Tiyani Mabundu is not around, but I'm not alone though. I've got the captain here, Hlompho Kekana. Everybody knows him. Former
footballer.
You're no longer playing officially. You heard it first here on Sundowns TV.
Yeah.
It's nice to catch up with you. I just want us to get into the Sundowns and Supersport game. Actually, looking at the second round of the season.
Yeah.
Now it's number 1 versus potentially number 2. And you know that Gavin Hunt is a coach that knows how to win. You played under him at Supersport. So can you give us a little bit brief as to how was he when you were playing at Supersport and also the journey that you had at Supersport?
Yeah. Modise, thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you.
I think with Gavin, it's going to be pretty, I would say, obvious in how he applies himself, in how he applies his team. The team never complicate anything. It's just straightforward 4-4-2. And we all know that half of the goals that he has scored, the team has scored in the season that we're in, they're coming from the crosses. And we all know that's typical Gavin Hunt. When I was there as a player, I always knew as a midfielder, I had two roles and 2 elements that I need to put in the game. You control, you play the ball wide, where Pelembe used to operate, where Dentley used to operate. That's how he plays, and now he's got, of course, similar player in Majaman and especially Ndlovu. They've got energy. They just play with energy, a lot of intensity, and they will try to make it difficult for Mamelodi Sundowns in the midfield. And of course, when I was still under him, whenever we played a bigger team, we will try to make sure that we add an extra number, an extra man in the midfield.
Just to suffocate that midfield.
Make sure that we cancel everybody there in the midfield. Of course, we knew that he assembled players which have got so many energy. Let me just put energy a lot, because he rely more on an aggression and making sure that you tackle, you win ball for the team, and not necessarily a lot of creativity in the midfield, because he relies more on win play and so I think it's gonna be difficult and very exciting for us to watch, because we will be watching with an eye that we want to see how it's gonna be unfolding in the midfield. But it's gonna be difficult for players that will be playing in that role, because a lot of activities will be coming from that place where. Though you know, as a midfielder for Sundowns, you're not going to have enough time to look up and to pick up a pass. He'll make it difficult for Tebza to not having to pick up a player in half spaces. But he strive on that to make it difficult for the opposition, especially when he's playing against bigger teams. And he'll emphasize, no, they are soft. They are soft. So he encourages players to come to be aggressive on tackles. Of course, he doesn't like reckless tackles, but at the same time, he likes players that will come hard on players, just to intimidate you a little bit, to make you rush passes, rush decision, and that's how he strive on.
And also, do you think now, with looking at the results, the previous results, Mamelodi Sundowns versus Supersport, do you think now, with the game that's going to play, does Supersport comes in as underdogs, knowing that Mamelodi Sundowns, they're number 1 in the log and they're leading with so much numbers? Do the results that they had against Mamelodi Sundowns previously counter into this encounter, or Sundowns go in as a team that is wounded based on the results that they had against Supersport?
It's a derby match.
Yeah,
a derby match. There's no smaller or whoever's on form. It doesn't matter who's on form at this present moment. You're talking about the derby match. People are just psyched to play in this match. They are very energetic. They are very motivated. You can't motivate any player to play a derby match. The same with Tshwane Derby. It's always difficult. I've been on the other side of Supersport where we play Sundowns. The talk on that week is to let's go and kill them. Let's make sure that we make it difficult for their lives. Of course, Sundowns has always
that quality,
better
quality.
But you make sure that even if they win the match, we must make it easier for them.
Yeah.
So of course, on the other side, the talk is like that, the preach, whatever. It's going to be, let's make it difficult for Sundowns, and they've shown in the previous encounter where they made it very, very difficult for Sundowns, and we were shocked about the results that came out. Yeah. But I must say, in a derby match, whoever takes chances
wins the game. Yeah, and also now, because our coach, so sharp.
Yeah.
I just want us to look at it as to when Sundowns win against SuperSport, what does it say about the league? What is the mentality? I know that it's from a coaching point of view, you don't want the players to actually start thinking of winning the league, start thinking that they won the league.
Yeah.
But now we're speaking from outside in. Yeah. So reality. What's the message that it sends? Because now you sending a message, especially from a team that you know that is potentially are the ones that actually just here on your Achilles heel chasing you. So if Sundowns win against SuperSport, what does it say, Nje, about the league itself?
I think it's open up that it make a picture very clear. It open up that gap that when you are competing with these people, you are pushing them back, and at the same time it's a breather on players. When you've competed for the league and you know what it means to be competing and knowing that you are leading with 2 points.
Yeah, if you drop, somebody wins.
There's no room for errors. You always look, and there's a lot of rigidness in the pitch. There's so many things that you get it right when there's no pressure, and when there is pressure, you try by all means to be perfect, and that's pressure. And we're there. So, but when you have clear with 10 points, I think there's so many things that you can do that you're gonna shock yourself. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm capable of doing this because there's no pressure. But at the same time, you're trying so hard that you want to push everybody behind because you know there's more games that are still coming that are very, very important for the club. So I think the team knows what's coming. They are in the group stage of the Champions League, and in that space, it's a different space. You've been there. You know what it means to be in the group stage of Champions League. The mindset has to be right. You can't have to multitask and think about after this match we play.
No.
You have to be
present.
Present because there are a lot of details in every one match. You come out tired without even touching the ball because there's so many things that are happening there. So I think this match for me that is coming, I think it's going to be a very crucial match for Mamelodi Sundowns for the coming fixtures. And
also I look at it from a point of having that sort of relationship with SuperSport. You have Williams that is in goals, you have Tebuho, you have Modiba, you have Sipo, you've got Ngobeni that was loaned out to SuperSport. So there's a lot of players that were associated with SuperSport. Then being on the player side, playing against your former team, I know the stress that comes with playing with the former team. You want to prove, and you're playing against your former teammate. There's always that element of pressure, because I remember myself coming to Sundowns playing against Orlando Pirates. I don't remember having a great game. I never had.
Because there's so many in
because
your mind,
because there's so many. So I'm not playing the game. The game plays me. So I'm failing to be in control of the game and my emotions as well. So what's your advice to?
I think Teko, to cut you. I think in most cases as players, the mistake we're trying to make is to try and having to play the occasion of that match and trying to think, let me just be perfect and do everything that and be safe, and by so doing you're trying to deprive yourself to have the best moments. The game is about enjoyment, and the more you kill that moment of being happy and enjoying in the field of play, then you're gonna be in a cage where you don't breathe properly because you are under pressure. Even if you recall on the matches that you say you're playing against Pirates, I'm sure there will be a moment where you can't even breathe properly because you are under pressure. You're thinking about the game. More than just playing.
You should be playing
the game. So I think that's the occasion that I'm talking about. Once the occasion is in your head, there's so many things that your mind will be clouded with. But I think the advice is to try and be present in the match. Try to treat the match, the fixture, the same way you treat the previous fixture. Of course, it's not going to be the same. You're playing against people that you know, but once you stick to the basics, you make sure that the first pass has to be good, the control has to be good. So then once that is setting out how the match is going to turn out to be.
Sets out the tone for yourself.
Yeah.
Just that I wish I knew what I know now then, because also probably because I'm a very emotional player.
I can imagine.
I play with emotions. I don't
Actually,
play for the sake of play.
There's no football matches without emotions.
Exactly.
To a lot of people today, they're talking about no, he's not a good person because he kicked it.
No. We want to see emotions. If there's no emotions in the game, then what are we doing?
Win football match without emotions.
Exactly.
If I was a player now and my mom has to be on the field, I was gonna slide tackle her for winning that match. You know what I mean? Because I want to win matches. It's nice to win matches.
Winning is addictive.
And at the same time, you have to put. And as players, we need to understand that we invested so much emotions into the game.
Into the game, yeah.
But if you don't show those emotions, the emotions.
Where are you gonna release them?
Thank you. I know
we
fed it.
Yeah.
We fed it.
So also coming back into the league, I think it's important, just to emphasize what you're saying, it's important to play the game, not to play the occasion. Of course, you're playing against the side that actually managed to beat you this season, and it's a side also that are capable of competing, taking you, pushing you to, pushing you even a little bit further. But I think Sundowns has capabilities and has the players to be able to adjust to whatever occasion that has been brought up to them. Because I've seen Mamelodi Sundowns this season being able to adjust to different systems in one game, trying to adapt into what the game is. And I just hope that with that as well, they'll find themselves winning the game, to be able to breathe, to be able to afford to introduce and give other players a chance. Because we were speaking about the young boys that are playing and that off-season tournament just a couple of months ago. It would be lively also to see them back being given an opportunity. But also, the only time that you can have leverage of that as a coach is breathing space. Yeah. Because you still have Champions League, you still have Nedbank Cup to play.
I think that what you just point out is very, very vital for the club, especially the stage that they are in, where you need to introduce a lot of youngsters. You're building for continuity, man. You have to have players that will take over, and overseas they do that
a lot,
very well.
And they do that very well.
Yeah, where you know that Paul Scholes, when he was at Manchester United, they had 3, 4, 5 youngsters that are playing similar than what Paul Scholes brings to the team. And I think Sundowns is that team where we all know what Sundowns is about. You have to be a midfielder, very creative to play Mamelodi Sundowns team. So I'm sure there's youngsters. And I've seen youngsters at Sundowns who are very, very creative. So you can groom them and make sure that they are closer to the first team. They are very close and they're not far from the first team. And they have that feeling, they have that touch, they have that understanding of what the first team is about. And you can only have that feeling when you are closer and sometimes you train with these people. And when they throw you in matches or training sessions, you have that feeling and you're not far. I think that's important.
I cannot the Scorpions, but I heard through grapevines that there's one of the players that are actually playing for Mamelodi Sundowns that you had an encounter now while they were playing for development Super Sport. And I think there's element of some sentiments in Yana that goes with it. So can you please share the story, Seo?
So it's a secret. Give you like a back pocket. So somebody say, let me just say, it's so refreshing to see these players that I saw when they were young, making it big in South African football. It gives me much joy to see that. And there's so many players that I can mention, and one can be Ronwen. Having to see a young Ronwen then, and I have a picture of him when then I need to send him and show him that picture. We were at Manlane. Because I never used to know Pretoria well. I was just coming from the villages in Limpopo and coming to the city. I didn't have so many friends. But then I think I took upon myself, to try and show the kids the way and how the professional level is going to be about. And We all know when you're young, the words are not that mattering. They don't matter much. The actions really play a huge role. And I was fortunate enough to having to spend time with them. When I mean them, I mean the younger ones at the academy at the time.
Yeah.
Ronon being one of them, and I used to take them to Main Lane to spend time with them.
By the ice cream.
I don't want to mention anything.
I'm not killing. No, you got Main Lane. Main Lane is ice cream.
Yeah, well, what can we do? We were young. I was pretty young at the time, and they were very, very young. I mean, they were still at primary school.
Yeah,
I feel very old. I sound very old, but
I remember that group.
Yeah, but
group.
For us, it was so crazy to see a young kid who's very, very brave. And now people are talking about, he's so calm, he's calm.
Been like this.
He has been this kid, very calm, and he just stared at you. Like, he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
You just drive. I used to drive with him like hours. There'll be less conversation. With like, Ronan, are you okay? Yeah. And we drive. And that's how I knew that he's up for big things, because in how he used to train and how he used to apply himself at training, you can tell that he was ready to learn. And there's nothing that impressed me at the time to see youngsters who wanted to learn more about the game. To the older guys, Andre Renze was there, and Andre Renze at the time was the same age as my mom. So you can imagine.
Wow.
I promise you. Remember Andre Renze played until 45?
Yeah, no, he played.
At the time, he was 40.
No, he played.
At the time.
He played for a while.
So you understand what I'm saying? So he was same age as my mom. So
wow.
So for me, I think that was a big balance for me to even having to be on the side and be at the side at the same time. You know, for me, I was pretty young, around 20, 21.
Yeah. And speaking of youngsters now, you look at the team that we can see that there's a lot of conversations around Mamelodi Sundowns, Mailula doing well, and also regarded as Neo Miami. There's a lot of youngsters. They were still, in South African standards, still a youngster that's doing so well. So just one final from you as to maybe give me the names of the players that have probably maybe impressed you this season from Mamelodi Sundowns. Maybe three.
I'll go for the new guys. Impressed me a lot, particularly in having to apply themselves in a difficult and complex team like Mamelodi Sundowns. It's never easy to wear that jersey and having to play one match, second match, third match. You know what I mean? So I think these players that are playing so well, I cannot single out names because they are doing so well. The players that are coming, they are given an opportunity. They're trying so hard to make sure that they're playing well for the team, and you can tell that they are driven. They are motivated to play for the club and can get better, can be better. But I think the team, the new guys that came into Mamelodi Sundowns this season, past seasons, I think they are doing so well for the team, and I'm quite impressed with how they're managing themselves and how they are playing themselves in matches, because you all know, you mentioned earlier that the player that is on the bench at Sundowns is quite as good as the one who are playing. So you are given that on 90 minutes, who knows, can be your last minute.
Can be your last game.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to apply yourself better, and you'll be looking at the 90 minutes and be like, that was my best 90 minutes. And I see a lot of these players today, they are playing themselves so well.
No, that's true. Because now look at it from, the certain players, when I look at them, when they do well, maybe I'm being harsh, and I'll say to myself, I'm expecting them to do that well.
For sure, Nalo and I will be suffering from that for the rest of our lives. Because remember, when we were in the field of play, when we came into the professional ranks, there were so many players who demanded a lot. There were so many characters, crazy characters, which demanded a lot from us. And that we thought that's the way to go. And when you being critical about certain things, it's not because you sound like you were a top player or you want to criticize, but you see the potential. You know what this player can give us. So I think you're speaking from a place of good heart, because you know what is expected in the field of play. You've been around, you know what players can do, and you know what players can give us. And I'm suffering from the same.
Because I want to like Alend in the midfield. It's very surprising because he looks like a person that has been playing with the team for 2 seasons. Like he's so comfortable. It just works. And once I started seeing that it works, I stopped looking for reasons why it works. It's supposed to work. We signed you to come into the club. So for the fact that it's working, okay, let me move on. And I look at when things are getting difficult, especially in the last 6-7 games. Tebogo now is becoming a leader that I always knew that he was. But because you come into Sundowns with a lot of superstars, a lot of accolades, a lot of achievements, sometimes it becomes a little bit intimidating. You start doubting yourself. I'm starting to see the boy now coming out of his shell, now becoming, grabbing the game by the neck and making the tackles when he needs to. Like there's a lot of characters that I start seeing developing, and I also maybe credit also to the coaches, because I think it's one of the most difficult things to do, to take all these different personalities from different clubs with different attributes to try and make them unity in the team. And some of them, they need to unlearn the things that they've learned from the other teams.
That's true. I think it's called adaptation. Once you know that you're gonna play in a team that is very diverse, a lot of players are very, very talented as you are. There's so many things that you have to get rid of. And I came to Sundowns, I'll use my personal experience. I got to Sundowns with a different game model altogether. And many people that they knew me as a kid, they'll be like, you played different when you played Sundowns. Because I knew that there's so many creative players. Where I came from, creativity was
minimum. So but
then you come to Sundowns, everybody is creative. So which game model are you gonna bring? I can't bring something that anybody can play, the goalkeeper can even do. You have to bring a different game model together, a different character. And you mentioned Debza. For me, we all know he's a good player. Like you're saying, he's taking responsibilities now, and he's coming out of his shell and trying to showcase what he has been showing us when he was still at Super. And I think it's good to see, like you're saying, the credit must go to the technical team by giving players that freedom to express themselves within that structure, but then you express yourself more and having to take responsibilities. And we can say a lot about the previous generation, where players have to take responsibilities and shout at each other when things are not going your way. You mentioned about 7 games, that the past 7 games when things are difficult. You don't need a coach to shout. You need the players that are in the
figure things out in the pitch.
To fix things. To step out and the ball is out. They gather together and be like, guys, what's happening? We need to fix this. And that's how, as player, as a team, you grow.
That's true. Thanks, and for you too.
My faith. Next week if that call, because it's really important.
That's another episode with Hlompho Kekana, the skipper. Sure to catch this on YouTube, Sundowns TV, and we out.